You wake up, check your phone, scroll through emails, rush to work, meetings, deadlines, more emails. You collapse into bed exhausted, and for a moment just before sleep takes you, a whisper emerges from somewhere deep inside. What am I actually doing with my life? You silence it with another notification, another task, another distraction. 2,000 years ago, a Roman philosopher saw through this illusion completely. His name was Seneca, and he wrote something that should terrify every modern person. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. You think you're busy, you think you're productive. You're actually running from the one person you cannot escape, yourself. Today, we're going to expose the greatest lie of modern life, and by the end, you'll never see your calendar the same way again. The busy illusion. Here's a question that might sting. When was the last time you sat alone with your thoughts? No phone, no music, no podcast, just you and the silence. Most people can't remember, and that's not an accident. We've built entire lives around avoiding this moment. Seneca noticed this pattern in ancient Rome, where citizens filled their days with banquets, politics, and endless social obligations. We are always complaining that our days are few, and acting as though there would be no end of them. Sound familiar? We complain we have no time, then spend 3 hours scrolling social media. We say we're exhausted, then binge-watch shows until midnight. Busy is a disguise for something much darker. The truth is, most busyness isn't productivity. It's avoidance. Every notification you check, every meeting you schedule, every task you add to your list might just be another brick in the wall you're building between yourself and your own mind. But why would we run from ourselves? What are we so afraid of finding? Fear of stillness. In 2014, researchers at the University of Virginia conducted a disturbing experiment. They put people in a room alone for 15 minutes with nothing but their thoughts. No phone, no book, nothing, just silence. The only thing in the room was a button that would deliver a painful electric shock. Here's what terrified the scientists. 67% of men and 25% of women chose to shock themselves rather than sit quietly with their own minds. They preferred physical pain to mental silence. Seneca would not have been surprised. He watched Roman aristocrats fill every moment with noise, entertainment, and distraction. No one pursuit can be successfully followed by a man who is preoccupied with many things. We're terrified of stillness because stillness forces confrontation. In the silence, you meet the questions you've been avoiding. Am I living the right life? Have I wasted my potential? What do I actually want? If Seneca's wisdom is resonating with you right now, hit like and subscribe to unlock more treasures from the vault, because what comes next might change how you see everything. These questions don't disappear when we ignore them. They grow louder. Stolen hours. Seneca served as advisor to Emperor Nero, one of history's most infamous rulers. He witnessed power, wealth, and influence at the highest levels. And you know what he concluded? The richest people were often the poorest in time. People are frugal in guarding their personal property. But as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful. Think about this. If someone stole $100 from your wallet, you'd be furious. But when someone steals an hour of your life with an unnecessary meeting, you thank them for their time. We guard money, not life. Every hour you spend doing something meaningless is an hour stolen from something meaningful. Every yes to an obligation you don't care about is a no to something you do. Seneca kept meticulous track of his time. He audited every day, not to be more productive in the modern hustle culture sense, but to ensure his finite hours weren't leaking away into trivialities. The hours we let slip through our fingers never return. How many of your hours have already slipped away? And more importantly, who's really stealing them? The inner void. Here's what nobody wants to admit. Beneath all the activity, beneath all the productivity, beneath all the busyness, there's a void, an emptiness that feels bottomless. We run from it because looking into it is terrifying. What if there's nothing there? What if all our achievements mean nothing? What if we've been chasing the wrong things our entire lives? Void. Seneca understood this void intimately. He was exiled for 8 years to the island of Corsica, stripped of his status, his work, his entire identity, alone with nothing but his thoughts. And in that exile, rather than breaking him, the void revealed something profound. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. The void isn't empty at all. It's full of everything we've been avoiding: our authentic desires, our suppressed dreams, our unlived lives. The void holds truth. The busyness isn't protecting you from emptiness. It's preventing you from discovering the fullness that awaits on the other side of stillness. But how do we face what we've spent our whole lives running from? Premeditatio mali. The Stoics had a practice that sounds morbid but is actually liberating. Premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Every morning Seneca would imagine the worst: his wealth gone, his health failing, his friends betraying him, his death approaching. He rehearsed his own destruction daily. Why would anyone do this? Because most of our busyness comes from trying to outrun our fears. We stay occupied so we don't have to face the reality that everything we have can be taken, that everyone we love will someday be gone, that we ourselves will end. Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. But when you've already faced these truths in your mind, they lose their power over you. You stop running. You stop hiding behind your calendar. You stop using productivity as a shield against mortality. Death meditation doesn't make you morbid. It makes you free. Free to stop wasting time. Free to focus on what actually matters. Free to finally stop running and start living. But there's still one more layer of avoidance we need to expose. False obligations. How many things on your to-do list are actually yours? How many obligations did you choose versus how many were imposed on you by others' expectations? Seneca noticed that Romans spent enormous energy on duties they never questioned, social visits they didn't want to make, political games they didn't want to play, careers that served everyone except themselves. Most chains are invisible. We say yes to things we should refuse. We maintain relationships that drain us. We pursue goals we inherited from our parents, our culture, our advertising. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The obligations feel real because we imagine terrible consequences for refusing them. But how many of those consequences are imaginary? How many times have you dreaded saying no, finally said it, and nothing terrible happened? The prison door has always been unlocked. Seneca eventually grew tired of serving Nero. He asked permission to retire, to give away his wealth, to spend his remaining time in study and reflection. Most people never ask. They serve invisible masters until they die. What invisible chains are you wearing right now? The time audit. Seneca practiced something that might transform your life if you're brave enough to try it. Every evening he reviewed his day. Not a gratitude journal, not a productivity tracker. A ruthless examination of where his hours actually went. When shall we live if not now? He asked himself brutal questions. What bad habit did I resist today? What virtue did I practice? What could I have done better? Did I use my time like someone who knows they are mortal? Track your hours honestly. Try this for 1 week. Write down everything, every scroll session, every unnecessary meeting, every hour lost to distraction. Most people discover something shocking. They have far more time than they thought. They've just been giving it away to things that don't matter. The problem was never a lack of time. Priorities. The problem was a lack of priorities, or more precisely, a fear of confronting what our real priorities should be. Once you see where your time actually goes, you can't unsee it. The question becomes, what are you going to do about it? Presence over plans. Here's a paradox that confused me for years. Seneca wrote extensively about planning for the future. He talked about goals, preparation, foresight. But he also wrote this: true happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. How can both be true? Because there's a difference between planning and living in plans. Planning is a tool. Living in plans is an escape from now. When you're constantly thinking about tomorrow, you're avoiding today. When you're always preparing for the next thing, you're missing this thing. The present moment, is the only moment that exists. The future is imagination. The past is memory. Only now is real. Seneca learned to hold plans loosely while gripping the present tightly, to prepare for tomorrow while fully inhabiting today. This is the balance we've lost. We're so busy building futures that we forget to live present. And here's the devastating truth. The future you're building will become a present you'll also miss, unless something changes. Seneca's death. In 65 AD, Nero ordered Seneca to kill himself. The philosopher who had written so much about death finally had to face his own. And here's what witnesses reported. He was calm, not because he was superhuman, but because he had spent his entire life preparing for this moment. He had already died 1,000 times in his mind. While his veins were cut, while his blood drained, he dictated his final thoughts to scribes. Still teaching, still present, still himself. Life is long if you know how to use it. Death came for a friend. This is what facing yourself produces. Not fearlessness, but familiarity with fear. Not escape from mortality, but partnership with it. When you stop running from yourself, you stop running from death. When you stop hiding in busyness, you stop wasting life. Seneca's death was peaceful because his life was examined. He knew exactly who he was, what he valued, and how he'd spent his time. Can you say the same? If your end came tomorrow, would you face it as a stranger to yourself? The return home. So here's your choice. You can close this video and return to your notifications. Check your email. Add another meeting. Fill the silence with noise, or you can do something terrifying. You can stop. Right now, just for 5 minutes, turn off your phone, close your laptop, and sit with yourself. Meet the person you've been running from. You might hate what you find at first. The neglected dreams, the avoided questions, the unlived life. But beneath all of that, there's something else. There's you, the real you. The one who existed before the world told you who to be. The one who knows what you actually want. The one who's been waiting for you to come home. Seneca's message across 2,000 years is simple. You're not too busy. You're afraid. And that's okay. Fear is the beginning, but don't let it be the end. Your life is waiting on the other side of that fear. Stop running, start living. The only question is, will you finally stop running long enough to live it? 2,000 years ago, Seneca saw through the illusion that still traps us today. The illusion that busyness equals meaning, that productivity equals purpose, that running fast enough will somehow outpace the questions we're afraid to answer. Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life. You now have a choice that most people never realize they have. You can continue the cycle, more tasks, more distractions, more noise to fill the silence, or you can take the first step toward yourself. It doesn't require quitting your job or moving to a mountain. It requires 5 minutes of stillness. One honest question, a single moment of presence. Today you choose. The wisdom of the Stoics has survived 20 centuries because it's true. Your busyness is a choice. Your avoidance is a choice. And your return to yourself can also be a choice. If you made it this far, comment "time reclaimed" below to prove you're ready to stop running. The vault has more wisdom waiting for those who seek it. Subscribe to keep exploring. The wisdom of the ages is yours. Use it well. If Seneca's truth changed something in you today, hit like and subscribe. More ancient wisdom is waiting in the vault.